World's largest B2B marketing event, and the first keynote speaker that we heard from was Lee Odden. Lee, thank you for joining us.
It's great to be here.
We've just been chatting off camera loads, and it just seems that you are the man to talk to about using influencers in B2B marketing. I mean, can you give us a brief overview of, I suppose, the way you think people should be using influencers?
Sure. You know, a lot of companies are in B2B are pressured to create enough content to satisfy buyers as they go through this really long sales cycle. So one of the best practices is to tap into experts so that you have resources you can draw from to create even more content without hiring extra people. But the kind of people you want to work with are industry experts that already have audiences that they can promote that content to. So what you get is partners who are making something valuable to your customers. It doesn't cost you anything, or it costs very little, and it actually can work better than the regular content that company might be producing.
And this is the interesting thing you said to me, and certainly something that I hadn't considered too much, especially with B2C. People are using just famous people. It's kind of throw a famous person at it, but it's a lot more subtle than that, isn't it, with B2B?
Absolutely, because with B2B you have a longer sales cycle, so it's not so much of a spontaneous purchase. Hey, I saw someone wearing jewelry or tennis shoes or using a certain kind of makeup or something like that, and then I'll go buy it. I mean, we're talking about millions of dollars, things that cost a lot of money, or millions of pounds. And so that considered purchase requires a different type of influencer engagement, a lot more content and a lot more thoughtfulness about how they work with you.
And that's what you were saying to me is quite interesting in terms of even for very specific content. So if you're talking about comparing two products, at that point you'd use a customer, but in other scenarios you might use an expert. Can you explain how that works?
Exactly. So especially in B2B, you try to architect what kinds of information you provide a customer at different stages of the buying cycle, right? So someone has a problem they need to solve, they're trying to figure it out by researching it, and then they have to collect information about, well, who's the best, what are the different vendors that can provide information, and then you've got to figure out information on how to put a deal or a proposal together, right? Because usually there's a buying committee that you have to answer to within a B2B company before you can make a purchase. So you work with different kinds of influencers at each stage. You work with a famous person to create awareness of a thing. If you want to show up better than a competitor, you probably want to work with one of your existing customers that's also influential. Or better yet, a prospect that's considering working with you, or that is just influential about the space, and you're making something together for the greater good.
Can you think of specific examples where you think influencers have been used really well?
Really well. Well, I'm a big fan of a program that we've been doing for 6 years with Content Marketing Institute. So they run a conference called Content Marketing World. It's the largest content marketing conference in the world, ironically. And so what we've been doing is working with speakers that are influential to create content in advance of the conference. And we produce ebooks, blog posts, social shares, videos, all kinds of different media. The influencers are creating almost all of that content. And this has resulted in one case over 200,000 views, 4,000 downloads, and 1,000 leads for the underwriting sponsor.
See, that's amazing. One of the things you mentioned, blog posts. Now, one of the things that you were talking about is it's quite subtle, the way that you kind of you personally find customers and people to work with. Can you explain a little bit about that subtle approach without obviously giving your personal secrets away?
Sure. So if you think of it in the context of account-based marketing, that's where you have identified specific companies that you would like to do business with. So the marketing and content that you create is very specific to that company. So in a particular example, there may be individuals who are decision makers that you'd like to work with. The approach I'm talking about is if you can find people like that are also influential, you can invite them to make content together with you. And the reason is that this will give them exposure. So you want to create a really positive experience by co-creating content together that, again, is for the greater good in the industry, but also what's happening at the same time is that experience you're creating is making them aware of you and the services that you offer. And what can often happen, if you architect it right, is they lead themselves to the conclusion that you're the company they want to do business with. And what you started with is doing something for them first.
Lee, that's fantastic. We're out of time. How do people follow you on social media, that kind of thing, if they want to know more about what you do?
You can follow me on Twitter at Lee Odden. Yeah, I can spell my name. Or you can go to marketingblog.com.
Fantastic. Lee, thank you so much. I hope that's a really great insight into how to use influencers. Don't forget, keep following the live stream all day. And if you want to follow us on social media, it's #Ignite 2017. We've got loads more exclusive content coming up later.